Have you ever noticed why professional ping pong paddles are always red and black? This isn't just a random design choice. It's all about stopping sneaky players from cheating. This game-changing rule came after a Chinese master named Cai Jianhua became too good at deception. He could flip his same colored paddle so fast, opponents never knew what hit them. But here's the mind-blowing part. Each color represents a completely different playing style. Red for attack, black for defense. Next, in 2021, they added new colors like blue and pink, but one side must stay black to protect colorblind players.
This guy is accused of being a fake magician, but when someone secretly filmed his show from a different angle to expose his tricks, they saw the magician start by putting a lady into a sack in front of the audience. Then, the man tied it into a knot and placed the woman inside a chest. At that point, her assistant was completely tied up in the sack. But that wasn't all. He even locked the chest with a key and tied it up with a rope, so there was no way for her to escape. Then, the magician did something strange. He took a black piece of cloth and covered everything so the audience couldn't see. And at that moment, he stood on top of the chest and suddenly disappeared. Instead of him, her assistant appeared out of nowhere. But where did the magician go? No, he wasn't among the audience. Actually, it's much simpler than you might think. When the assistant finally opened the chest, they saw that someone had taken her place inside the sack. But beware, when she opened it, guess who reappeared? Did you figure out the trick? During the Olympics, this Chinese gymnast noticed the Italian athletes biting their medals. This traditional gesture is meant to prove that the medals are real. However, the Chinese girl didn't understand its meaning, so she simply watched them curiously before bringing the medal to her lips to imitate them. This innocent act made her go viral on social media and won the hearts of many.
When throwing snowflakes onto steel coils, an interesting phenomenon occurred. The snowflakes evaporated instantly. If you accidentally touched one, you wouldn't even feel the burn. It would sear your skin instantly before your nerves could react. In fact, these steel coils that seemed cold were just produced by the factory. The temperature was 3,000 Fahrenheit. After cooling a bit, these hot steel coils are placed outdoors to let them cool naturally. The freshly baked hot rolls are still hot after being stored in the warehouse for several days.
This man had just finished shaping a perfect piece of pottery, but suddenly, his son intentionally smashed it with his hands. The father was devastated but kept his calm and gathered the clay again. He then placed it back on the wheel and decided to take a short break to clear his mind. But then, his son, who noticed his father was upset, came over to comfort him and suddenly sat down to begin working with the clay. Using his small hands, he took the smashed clay and started shaping it carefully. After a while, the clay was gradually taking form, and at the right moment, the boy smoothed its surface with a sponge and used a carving tool to add the missing details. In the end, the son managed to perfectly reproduce his father's creation, and when the boy handed him the finished pot, the father was so proud that he couldn't even scold him.
This machine, which can instantly turn bones and flesh to ashes with a blast, is known as a sandblaster. Besides effortlessly blasting away organic materials, if you set the sandblaster to its highest power, it's possible to blow a hole through an iron pot. However, this is not the main purpose of sandblasting. In fact, sandblasting can eradicate rust, paint, and residue from corrosion on materials spontaneously and effectively. It can also be used to alter the condition of a metal surface, such as by eliminating scratches or casting marks. This cameraman has a rather quirky job because he has to close this little opening in the glass every time players come flying towards him, and just by seeing the sheer force of these collisions, you'll understand why this hatch is necessary. And for this job, you'll need some fast reflexes in order to save your camera that costs more than the average person's salary. Could you handle this job? If police officers use spike strips to stop vehicles on the road, drivers often spot and avoid them. This is why the robot spike was created, and it doesn't need to be thrown by hand. Set it up along the road, and when a car approaches, press a button. The strip will instantly deploy, puncturing the vehicle's tire. The remote deployment mechanism allows officers to stay at a safe distance while stopping a moving vehicle. The spike strip's rapid activation reduces a driver's ability to swerve away at the last moment. Do you know why Turkish coffee seems to magically appear out of nowhere? Some might suggest a hidden tube buried within the sand, but this marvel is all about the Turkish hot sand coffee. The secret lies within the simplicity of physics. It's all about harnessing the heat-conducting properties of sand and a metal pot. With the heat source continuously warming the pot's base, the water within begins to evaporate. This process, through the power of boiling, pushes the frothy coffee to rise within the pot.